Welcome to Tailor Made with Nancy. I'm Nancy Taylor. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and over this series of video tutorials, I'm showing you how I made these 4 cards using the Let's Go Fishing Suite collection from Stampin' Up! You can find out more about the collection on pages 79 and 80 of the new annual catalog. For this video, we'll be using the stamp set as well as the coordinating dies, and we'll also be using the deckled rectangles die set. This is the last video in the series of tutorials. Finally, we are going to make our last card, which is a card that features our DSP. It's got a little bit of a FunFold element. I forgot to put the white piece in, but we'll go ahead and remember to do that when we make this. If you are subscribed to the virtual workshop, you will have your pieces already cut for that sentiment with deckled rectangles, and we'll be using the 2 smallest pieces. You'll see that this fits beautifully with So Glad You're My Dad. It also fits if you want to use the retirement one, the Happy Father's Day one, or if you want to just do something different and turn it this way and make it a vertical card. You could also do Good Things Come to Those Who Wait. So good to know that that deckled rectangles goes a long way with this stamp set. We're going to try to go through this one a little quickly. I know this video has been a little longer than I hoped, but let's get right to it. So this is what I am calling the lore card, since we are using the DSP that has all the lores on it. So you're going to start with a half a piece of Misty Moonlight, but it's cut the long way. So that's going to be 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and you're going to score it at 5 1/4 and then at 4 1/2, so that you get this fun fold. And then next, we're going to take, instead of our typical 5 1/4 4-inch piece of basic white for the inside piece, for this piece we're going to use 4 1/4 by 4 inches. So go ahead and make sure that that is what you are using for your inside piece. If you need to gather your materials, that is what is going to fit perfectly inside the card. So the first thing we're going to do, since I have a tendency to forget to do that, is we're going to go ahead and find our adhesive somewhere in the mess that we have made. I don't know about you, but I'm misplacing things constantly when I try to do this. So we're going to go ahead and use our adhesive and put our white piece in as our first step. So go ahead and put some snail or some glue, whatever you're using, and go ahead and make sure that your card is positioned so that you're putting the white piece centered in what remains of the Misty Moonlight. Sorry, I have to center mine. And the nice thing about this is it's a little bit forgiving. So if you didn't cut your white piece just perfectly, you're still going to be able to get it so that it gives you the right amount of space. And the next thing we're going to do is, let's start with, for our DSP, we're going to cut a 4-inch by 3/4 of an inch piece of the net DSP. So I'm going to start by putting adhesive on the back of that piece. Okay. And I'm hoping I didn't run out of snail. I didn't. Okay. And attaching that to the front of the card on that little fun folds area. And just, you want to make sure you kind of center it. And then we're going to use diamond weave ribbon, which is retired, but I've been saving it forever and really needed an excuse to use it. And I don't know why, I just felt like this one really went with the fishing theme. So what you're going to want to do is cut a piece of ribbon that is about 6 inches, maybe a little less. And we're going to use tape. So go ahead and position that ribbon over the front. You want to get it centered. It is a little bit of a wobbly ribbon. It doesn't really go as straight as some of the other ribbons. But what you want to do is go ahead and use some Scotch tape or some tear-in tape so that you can attach this inside that little fun fold. We don't have to wrap it all the way around because we're not going to see that part, but you can just go ahead and use Scotch tape, if you have, to hold it in place. And then we're going to use our tear and tape. So tear and tape is double-sided tape. We're going to go ahead and basically just get enough to bind the card from seam to seam. And then once that's on there, go ahead and make sure, trim it if it's a little too long. I don't need all of that. Go ahead and find the top of the sticker and peel it back. Make sure that the adhesive is actually staying on there before you do. Okay, you'll see a nice clear space, and then go ahead and press down and smooth it out, and that is going to close our card. Okay, so next we're going to take our Lure DSP, and we're actually going to use the largest of the deckled rectangle dies, and you're going to go ahead and cut that on your machine. If you're stamping along at home, if you're doing the virtual workshop, then this piece is already going to be cut properly to size. But I wanted it to have kind of that natural look, so giving it a little bit of just something different going on and giving it that textured looking edge. So I'm going to run it through the stamp cut and emboss machine, and then I'm going to cut off some of the edge just to make sure that it is the right size to fit our card. And so what you're going to end up with is a card that is cut at about 4.5 so that you have the straight edge. And we're going to take our adhesive and attach that to the front of the card. And something really important to keep in mind is that when you position it, you want to make sure that the edge on the left of the paper is not covering the part of the card that is going to fold. This way you don't end up with an issue. And next we are going to take our boho blue deckled rectangle, and we're going to put adhesive on the back and center that in the middle of our Lure DSP. Getting it lined up on my grid paper. Okay. And then we're going to take our white piece, our white deckled rectangle. And for this, I went ahead and used Pebble Path, which is the color of the net paper. And we're going to go ahead and block whatever sentiment stamp you're going to use. I did So Glad You're My Dad. And we're going to go ahead and get that inky and stamp our sentiment. There we go. You may recall in our very first video, we made some extra lures. And here is where I kind of challenge you to be creative and see what you think works best. I think there's so many colors that would go really beautifully with this, especially because we have so many colors in the DSP. Go ahead and attach your sentiment. But what we're going to do here is we're going to pick a lure or a bobber or whatever piece of the set that you think looks the best. For this, I used one of the little fish lures, but I have some extras from earlier. So if you want to do something different, if you want to do one of those lures, you can. I guess I can make it different. This one is Petal Pink, and I think it just picks up some of those colors really beautifully. But basically, you want to go ahead and use your fine tip glue, or if you want to use glue dots, that's fine as well. And just go ahead and get a little bit of glue on your lure, and then the finishing touch is for us to place that lure on the front of the card. I will deal with the glue later. And I just kind of angled it at the bottom and pressed down, and there you go. We have our last card. If you haven't had a chance to check out the other videos, I hope you will. If not, hope to see you back here again soon. Thanks.